Please settle down. We will start the special unbox session in a few minutes. We would like to remind you to kindly switch your mobile devices to silent mode. Thank you.
All rise. The Commission and Bank with Honorable Chairman George Erwin M. Garcia presiding, with honorable members present, Commissioner Socorro Bienting, Commissioner Marlones Casquejo, Commissioner Amy P. Ferolino, Commissioner Ray B. Bulay, Commissioner Ernesto Ferdinand P. Maceda, Jr., Commissioner Nelson J. Celis is now in special session for the 2023 National Election Summit. Silence is hereby enjoined. The entry of colors. Ladies and gentlemen, the Philippine National Anthem by the COMELEC Chorale. Please remain standing for the prayer to be led by the COMELEC Chorale. We request the COMELEC Chorale to sing the COMELEC hymn.
Ang ating magandang mitili. COMELEC, pag-asa ka ng bayan, sa kamay mo nakasalalay, kung sinong dapat mamuno sa pamahalaan. Ay sarap ng hinanggalayaan, kung buhay ang naging pangarap na nagwangpan, di kayang ang kinilinuman. COMELEC, pag-asa ka ng bayan, sa kamay mo nakasalalay, kung sinong dapat mamuno sa pamahalaan. COMELEC, pag-asa ka ng bayan, sa kamay mo nakasalalay, kung sinong dapat mamuno sa
Please remain standing.
Tawat-tawat! Ha! Tuk-tuk-watawat! Ha! Up sa labas! Stop! Pasulong! Cut!
Please take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move further into the special session of the NBAC, the Honorable Chairman, George Erwin M. Garcia, will give his welcome speech.
Your Honors, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. The Sovereign, through the 1987 Constitution, have empowered the Commission on Elections with such mandate and duty to administer and enforce election laws in the country. Even with such a plenary authority, it is to be admitted that we cannot do it alone. We need your help, your guidance, your criticisms, your well-meaning suggestions on how to further improve the conduct of all our electoral exercises in the country. This is what this first election summit is all about. For we believe that a leader who abandons and rejects good policies and programs coming from the citizenry is not a wise leader. Leadership must not be arrogant, self-centered, and short-sighted. Furthermore, it is not important whether the citizen is attacking us or defending us. What is important is that he is heard. We want to be a commission that hears and listens. We are fully aware that the inevitable consequence of not listening to the people is disenfranchisement, disaffection, distrust, and dissidence. We do not want to be in the wrong side of history. For in the final analysis, the strength of our democratic system lies in the opportunity it allows our people to examine and correct our own excesses and shortcomings. We, the servants of the people, should therefore act accordingly. I welcome you today in this historic summit. And please bear in mind that we consider all of you here to be our partners in the service of God and country. As we in the Commission commits under oath to the principle of transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. This, as we pursue our goal for one vision, one mission, one commission to be true to our commitment to be the COMELEC of the Filipino people. Para po lahat ng ito sa ating bayan. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Mr. Chairman, may I move for a 5-minute suspension?
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Session is suspended for 5 minutes. session resumes. COMELEC Secretary Director Jola, what is the order of business for today?
The first order of business for today, Your Honor, is the message from our beloved Senator Jaime Marcos. I'm sorry, Your Honor. It is Congressman Dalog who will be giving his message.
May we call the COMELEC Clerk of Court to introduce properly our guest speaker?
At this juncture, may we call on our beloved Commissioner Amy P. Forolino, Commissioner in charge of the 2025 National and Local Elections Steering Committee, to do the introduction of the Honorable Congressman Maximo Y. Dalog, Jr.
The Commission on Elections is profoundly delighted to receive the full support of the Legislative Department in the Commission's effort to provide a platform for national dialogue with election stakeholders consistent with the pursuit to improve the Philippine electoral system. It is thus with great honor that I present to you for an inspirational message our colleague from the lower house, a distinguished lawyer and public servant, the incumbent congressman of the Lone Legislative District of the Mountain Province, and the chairperson of the House of Representatives Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms. Let us welcome Honorable Maximo Y. Dalog, Jr.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for that kind introduction to our beloved Senator, Senator Jaime Marcos. The chairperson of the Commission on Election, Chairperson George Erwin Garcia, and of course to all the commissioners. Our colleague from the House of Representatives, one of the vice chair of the Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms, Congresswoman Drixie May Cardema, ma'am. The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, the Legal Network for Truthful Elections, the Center for People Empowerment in Governance, Halalang Marangal, Automated Election System Watch, participants and guests, gawis ay agaw takwam-in, a pleasant day to all of us. Today is March 8, and so I wish to greet all women here present a blessed Women's Day and Women's Month celebration. Mabuhay ang ating mga kababaihan. First, may I be allowed to commend and congratulate the Commission on Elections and its various stakeholders as you conduct this first ever National Election Summit with the objective to call for people's participation in the review, formulation, or enhancement of policies, plans, and programs in election administration and the enforcement of electoral decisions in the country. It is interesting to note that since October 2022, there have been 26 pre-summit activities undertaken with significant discussions focusing on the new technologies that could possibly be implemented for the 2025 elections, to include the full implementation of the digital signature and the possibility of implementing a digital ledger technology in our election methods. As we collectively resolve to promote cooperation among our electoral advocates, the COMELEC, and other stakeholders in order to improve our voting system in the country, Let us be inspired to contribute our ideas, concepts, and services, all in favor of a vibrant and better electoral system. For in today's fast-growing technological generation, it is crucial that we ensure an innovative, additional, predictable, and acceptable electoral framework for the Filipino electorate. For it is true that the Omnibus Election Code, which directs our elections and which was passed in 1985 or almost 4 decades ago, needs urgent updating so it could give us added capacity to conduct modern elections and increase our confidence in the electoral process, closing the knowledge gap in the areas of election adjudication, political finance, election automation, and the like. Indeed, the exercise of any election requires close coordination in order to deliver sound equipment and commodities, official decisions, and bureaucratic processing in accordance with established legal guidelines. As we are in the process of modernizing our voter registration, voting, and tabulation procedures through the application of new electoral technologies, we are quoted with the need to develop more enabling legislations and policies for both the modernization process and the implementation of new administrative structures and practices. We are also challenged to develop and implement a major new voter education effort to explain these new processes, especially to our young electorate. Hence, we hope that this Fall Summit will bring about recommendations, concepts, and learnings that will help the COMELEC and the Filipino voters improve our election system. We also hope that numerous issues associated with how elections are being held in the country, including the role of teachers as electoral board members, curriculum integration of the voters' education, how to sustain the automated elections, budget for the elections, and election offenses will be thoroughly tackled and addressed so we can come up with a vigorous electoral system and reform. Therefore, let this summit begin with the end view that it will be able to contribute for a more enhanced participation of our fellow citizens in the electoral practices, reduce corruption, and strengthen our democracies. Again, congratulations. Sama-sama tayo, ating pagtulungan ang lahat pabor sa makabagong halalan. Matago-tago tako amin, mabuhay po tayong lahat, mabuhay ang sambayan ng Filipino. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gallo. That message was truly insightful. The COMELEC is one with you when you said that in these fast-paced and growing times, a remarkable and innovative electoral framework is vital to be established. May we request our honored guest, Congressman Maximo Y. Dalog Jr., for the photograph opportunity with the Commission and Bank, to be followed by the signing of Commitment Wall. Before the signing of the commitment poll, a plaque of recognition shall be given to our beloved guest, Congressman Maximo Y. Dalog Jr. Thank you very much. And now the Commission and Bank will go to the signing of the commitment poll. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a warm of applause for Congressman Maximo Y. Dalog Jr. Thank you very much. At this juncture, may we call on our beloved Commissioner Ray E. Bulay, Commissioner in charge of the 2020 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, to introduce Senator Amy R. Marcos.
Pagtutulungan sa makabagong halalan is envisioned to be a benchmark of the Commission in its mandate to ensure the holding of a free, orderly, honest, and credible elections. The Commission is earnest in its endeavor to allow the meaningful participation of stakeholders in crafting significant, necessary electoral policies. Needless to state, the Commission is greatly privileged to be passionately supported by no less than the Philippine Senate. It is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce our guest of honor, an advocate of proactive leadership. Her honor started serving the Filipino people at a very young age as chairperson of the Kabataang Barangay, the forerunner of what is known today as the Sangguniang Kabataan, and from which this representation was initiated to the world of public service, KB as we call it. She left notable legacies as district representative and governor of Ilocos Norte. She is often described as a personification of an independent modern Filipina who breaks stereotypes in the pursuit of excellent public service. A senator of the 19th Congress, the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms and People's Participation. And now, to give an inspirational message, let us all welcome Senator Amy Romualdez Marcos.
Thank you very much to everyone, and good morning to us all. My counterpart, Congressman Max Dalog from the North, exactly like me, together with his vice chairpersons, Drixie Cardenas, and the entire Cardenas crew, Chairman George Garcia, our commissioners, Socorro Inting and Amy Ferolino, the two ladies that I expected to preside today, Women's Day. My father always said that the best Filipino was in fact a Filipina. So I think we have the best of both worlds. Speaking of my father, I just realized once again that Commissioner Ernest Maceda is in fact another Ferdinand. Commissioner Marlon Casquejo, Commissioner Ray Bulay, who's the only one paying attention to this dreadful omnibus experience, in addition to all of the commissioners, of course. Our new kid on the block, indeed, Commissioner Nelson Celis, na binibiro natin, na nagpapakitang gilas. And truly, the last time that we had such an exhibition was in late 2018, as I recall, in UP, where in fact the area was non-air conditioned and so many of the computers and displays refused to work. Executive Director Chapisto Elnas Jr., we are so deeply impressed by this 5-star event that perhaps no additional budget shall be needed by COMELEC. Deputy Executive Director Rafael Olaño, Deputy Executive Director Helen Torres, all the senior officials of the COMELEC, and everyone else is here. There is no doubt that there's been vast improvements in the way elections are conducted here in our country. Many of these improvements are as a result of the effort and dedication of the men and women of COMELEC. Palakpakan po natin ang ating Commission on Elections. In the last election, even for national positions, results could be found in as little as 24 hours. Definitely more OFWs and Filipinos abroad have had the opportunity to participate in democratic processes through the overseas voting systems. Postal, in addition to personal modes of voting, have been adopted for these overseas elections. And of course, the displays today for internet voting are convincing and truly varied. For the first time, registered overseas voters were allowed to vote in any Philippine consulate or embassy by simply emailing a manifestation of their intent to do so to the Office of the Overseas Voting. I think your resolution 10833 was a big part of that improvement. The number of registered overseas voters increased from 1.4 million in 2016 to almost 1.7 in 2020. Voter turnout among registered voters increased vastly as well, from 430,000 odd to 683,035 in 2022. Better attention is now given, certainly to the vulnerable and marginalized sectors of the senior citizens, the PWDs, the pregnant women, and our indigenous people in remote and hard-to-reach areas. Voter registration, hence, has increased also from only 7.3 million to 11.3 in 2022. Emergency accessible polling places, or EAPPs, were provided in addition to the APPs in consideration of those vulnerable groups who failed to update their registration or became in time disabled, incapacitated, or pregnant after the registration period. Nonetheless, it is clear to all of us, the commissioners most of all, and those of us in the legislature like Congressman Dalog and Congressman Cardenas, that there is indeed still much that remains to be done. Today, we see the plethora and variety of technologies, of systems, of providers that are available. It is time that we study each and every one of them to plug the holes that still remain gaping in our system. There is apprehension still by the general public of the perceived lack of transparency in the automated electoral process, both as to counting as well as the transmission of votes. Almost 2,000 vote counting machines were found to be defective officially by the COMELEC in some way or other in the last election. Vote buying is rampant, if not more so, in every Filipino electoral exercise. The COMELEC Task Force, Contra Bigay, and Law Department have received more than 1,200 complaints on vote buying during the 2022 polls. And certainly, we have conducted hearings and heard the suggestions from both the commissioners and other COMELEC officials as to how to improve the law to make certain that these these constant vote buying and the rampant violation of election laws are finally put an end. Also, the abuse of the party list system remains unabated. There is an uptick in violence against local leaders, which are clearly related to politics. Already, 3 politicians have been targeted, or 4 politicians have been targeted, including 5 ex-mayors and vice mayors since last year's polls. Negros Oriental governor, a dear friend, Roel Degamo, along with 8 others, were shot dead by gunmen inside his own home last Saturday. Last month, Lanao del Sur governor, Mamintal Adjong, was shot and wounded in an attack that killed 4 of his men. The same month, another close ally and Marcos loyalist, Aparay Vice Mayor Romel Alameda, and 5 other people who were traveling with him were shot dead in a highway ambush. The number of barangay captains and other officials who have disappeared or been killed in the past few months goes unnumbered, but they are certainly in the dozens at this point. There is likewise the state of our scattered and piecemeal election statutes, my own advocacy, some of these being no longer responsive to the times and hardly taking into account the possibility of automated, digitized election. These problems that continue to plague our election highlight the need for stronger cooperation between COMELEC, the legislative branch, as well as the other executive branches of DOST, who are clearly present outside, and DICT, who have the know-how for all the IT and cybersecurity requisites of our Commission. To address the perceived lack of transparency, we need to consider a hybrid election system and the commitment of COMELEC to implement this system to the best of its ability. In order to reduce vote buying, we need laws that facilitate more effective prosecution of offenders, as well as an all-out effort on the part of COMELEC to finally implement this together with our law enforcement officials. To prevent the abuse of the party list system, we need to reform the party list law to ensure that nominees truly represent the sector they claim to present. At the same time, we need COMELEC to be more discerning in registering party list groups, even at the outset, to uphold the real intention of our Constitution behind this system. To eliminate election-related violence, we need to consider tougher gun ban laws. There is no doubt that COMELEC must be far more proactive in its campaign against election violence. Do not be afraid to place certain areas in this country under COMELEC control if doing so will result in free, honest, and violence-free elections. And these includes the upcoming October polls for both our barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan officials. Finally, to put all this together in one coherent and comprehensive code that laypersons and even election lawyers can use and quickly understand, we do need a new omnibus election code. And I know that COMELEC will extend every aid and assistance, every research tool and technology to make this happen within this term. Certainly, this will be a gargantuan task, but the last omnibus election code, as we well know, was compiled by my father, by my late father, and that simply underlies the fact that this new generation needs an omnibus election code of its own. So I enjoin you to help us, given the complication and the volume of laws that need to be codified. To all of you, this is a great start to a much improved electoral system. I am certain that you are all up to the task, particularly our chairman and our commissioners. And sa ating lahat, mabuhay ang COMELEC, mabuhay ang Pilipino. Maraming salamat po. Good day to all of you.
Thank you very much, We are beyond grateful for your presence, Senator Amy Marcos, and we take inspiration in your message that there's still time to resolve pressing concerns relative to elections and that COMELEC discernment and commitment to implement significant electoral policies is the way to move forward. May we request our honored guest, Senator Amy R. Marcos, for the photo opportunity with the Commission and Bank and awarding of plaque of recognition. Now, we will proceed to the signing of commitment wall. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause for Senator Amy R. Marcos.
COMSEC Jola, are there any other matters for consideration by the NBank?
Your Honor, there is an audio-visual presentation which is an overview of the 2023 National Election Summit and the pre-summit consultation sessions.
Before we view the presentation, let it be known by everyone that there is a continuing session by the NBank from now up to Friday. And therefore, you may proceed with the presentation, Director Soyjola.
The Philippines has vowed to protect, promote, and fulfill our human right to vote as enshrined under our Constitution and as our state's international obligation under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Your Commission on Elections, as an independent constitutional body, commits to empower the Filipino people not only to exercise their right to vote, but to have a voice in developing and enabling policy environment and infrastructure to ensure our meaningful political participation in the elections and other electoral exercises. The first National Elections Summit, organized by our Commission on Elections, was conceptualized and designed with you, our stakeholders, as a platform for the COMELEC and our election stakeholders to develop and commit to implementing strategies, governance mechanisms, and policies that will build on the trust and strengthen the confidence in our election system. The National Elections Summit purposefully used a participatory and consultative approach in public policy and program analysis. The inclusive process sought to achieve transparency, commit to accountability and transparency. Participation of stakeholders is not limited to their participation during the 3-day summit proper this March 2023. The COMELEC engaged the stakeholders and partners from the planning and design phase and in facilitating the consultation sessions on key electoral processes. The preparations for the 2023 National Elections Summit started in the fourth quarter of 2022. With a consultation meeting with various civil society organizations such as the National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, Legal Network for Truthful Elections, Center for People Empowerment and Governance, ACT Features Party List, Halalang Marangal, Automated Election System Watch, and Philippine Association of Fintech Lawyers. The meeting solicited from the organizations the primary election issues which should be discussed in the summit. In November 2022, COMELEC sealed the partnerships with the stakeholders with the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement. To date, commitments and pledges of support were sealed in the signed Memorandum of Agreement for partnership building between the COMELEC and the following partners: Association of Fintech Lawyers, Ateneo School of Government, Center of People Empowerment in Governance, Chief Information Officer Forum, Chief Information Officer Forum Foundation Incorporated, Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center, Democratic Insights Group, Department of Science and Technology, Halalang Marangal, Institute of Electronics and Communications Engineers of the Philippines, Joint Media Policy Institute, Kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas, Legal Education Board, Legal Network for Truthful Elections, National Citizens Movement of Free Elections, National Press Club of the Philippines, Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, Philippine Computer Society, Philippine Consortium Incorporated, Public Policy Research Group, and Right to Know Right Now Coalition. From here on, it was full speed ahead. COMELEC has conducted more than 50 pre-summit sessions all over the country, covering the 6 main topics for this year's summit, which include key electoral processes and administrative processes such as voter registration, voting, counting, and canvassing processes, campaign finance and fair elections, filing of certificate of candidacy, party list accreditation, and adjudication of cases, teachers as members of electoral boards, and integration of voter education in the K-12 curriculum, tertiary education, and National Service Training Program, or NSTP. Several pre-summit consultation sessions were also held to discuss topics on digital transformation, such as information security and information processing system, internet voting, blockchain technology, PNPKI and digital signatures, data center operations, security operations center, election standards, and data privacy and data sharing. Today, we welcome you all to the 2023 National Elections Summit. We will continue with our national dialogue from March 8, 9, and 10, and we shall discuss our collective outputs on the following topics: the COMELEC online registration system, voting, counting, and canvassing in the digital era, road towards the digitalization of administrative and electoral process, modernizing election training for teachers as electoral board members, and integration of voter education in K-12, tertiary curriculum, and NSTP, building the foundation of the general rules governing the automated election system, use of blockchain technology in the automated system, and securing COMELEC's enterprise architecture. It is a great privilege for your Commission on Elections to be given the opportunity to collaborate with the civil society and private organizations, the academe, our poll watchdogs, and other election stakeholders who participated in more than 50 pre-summit consultations nationwide, and we are continuing to meaningfully participate through this summit. More than the valuable insights, the practical and expert recommendations we have solicited, it is the meaningful engagement of everyone, our partners, our stakeholders, and the Filipino people coming from different political spectrums and backgrounds, which will help sustain our commitment to the theme of our election summit, pagtutulungan sa makabagong halalan, even beyond this 3-day event.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the presentation of the overview of the 2023 National Election Summit and the pre-summit consultation sessions. Those are some of the main key takeaways for this year's National Election Summit, and it entails significant developments, new technologies, policy initiatives, and other research findings that will shape the future of elections. Ladies and gentlemen, now we go for a short break for our lunch.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now have your lunch. For the breakout and plenary attendees, breakout session 1 and breakout session 3, you may proceed to the Davao and Boracay rooms. For the attendees of the breakout session 2, you may also proceed directly to the Leyte Samar room. The program will resume later in the afternoon. We shall see you back here at the plenary room at 12:45 p.m. Thank you.